Hey everybody, and welcome back. Today, we're going to be finishing up getting this engine back together. Hey, for those of you new to the channel, my name is Larry Nelson, and I am the Zenvair pilot. What I'm working on is the end of a while you're in there. And what happened was, I decided, with the help of GRT Avionics, to do a brand new panel on this plane. And I knew that as I was doing that, I was going to have to tear the plane apart. It was going to be down for a while. And in my brain, I'm like, well, if it's down for a while I'm in there, I might as well do every upgrade I've wanted to do this aircraft. And if you've been following along, what I decided to do was do the 2850 kit over the 2700 engine that I had before, which is a 15% bump in horsepower. We're at the end of this process now. What we've got to do today is get the valve adjustment done, get the valve covers on, and then wire up all of the sensors to the engine. That's the last step in this project. Until the last, while I'm in there, I decided to change the carburetor to the Rotec carburetor from the Marvel Schebler MA3 SPA that was originally used on the engine. And if you're asking why, well, that's the new standard for the Corvair engine, especially through William when you get the carburetors directly from him. So with that, I reached out to Peter over at Ozark Garage, and if you guys haven't checked out his channel, he's got some really cool stuff on there. And I used his basically methodology for routing all of the control cables. So I've got that sitting on the bench back here. We're going to be putting that on by the end of this video, and then we should be doing the first engine start very, very soon. So let's jump through and start the project today. Now, before we begin, I need to thank the sponsor of this video, which is GRT Avionics. GRT is an American-based company. They've been in business for over 30 years, making avionics for guys like me and you flying on a budget. You can start out with the Mini EVIS, which I've added in this plane. And they start out for around $1,700, and then you can do add on different capabilities from there. From there, you can jump up to the Sport EX and get even more capability on a larger screen. Then moving up to the Horizon, which is the top tier 10-inch panel, all of the capability you could ever want in a single panel. So if you guys are building a light sport or experimental aircraft, really consider GRT Avionics because, again, they've got what you need at a price that you'll want to pay. So go check them out, grtavionics.com. All right, so like I said, the plan for today is to do the valve adjustment. So with that, on the Corvair, we have our push rods. Now on the push rods, to kind of show you this, as we know right here, you see this little area that's got a little more wire. We know that this is the side of the push rod that's facing out. Also on the push rod, you'll notice there is a little hole. I don't know if you can see it here, but the hole is right there. This is the end here that should be facing towards the rocker arm. And again, all of this is detailed out in the manual from FlySPA. Definitely need this manual if you're building or working on a Corvair engine. So let's start out here. I've got the first push rod ready to go in. I've got everything cleaned up. I've got the grooved balls ready to go in. Everything is set up. So let's start the process of setting the valve lash on this engine. All right, guys, so just a couple of caveats here of how I'm doing this versus how William Wynn explains how to do it. Now, I've got the engine on the airframe. You typically would not build this or put the valves on with the engine on the airframe, and you'd have the oil pan off. One of the reasons for that is to ensure that these push rods are in the dead center of the lifter. So what I was doing every single time was moving that lifter around just a little bit to make sure that it was in the dead center of that lifter. It's a lot more work. You should, if you've never done one of these before, you should definitely do it the way that William Wynn shows you guys how to do that. Now, what I've done after that is I've turned the engine over a couple of times to make sure that all of the adjustments are holding the way they should, making sure that all of these valves feel the same, intake to exhaust, exhaust to intake across the entire engine. I'm going to turn it over a few more times and we're going to jump on the other side of the engine. All right, everybody, we're on the last valve that we need to adjust, so I figured I'd kind of walk you through at least one valve adjustment. So here's how it works. We need to make sure that this valve here is actually collapsed, so we're going to turn the engine until we see that completely collapsed, because that's the other one on the lobe. Turning. Okay. And that is at bottom. So we know this one's all the way pushed out, which means this one needs to be bottomed out. Like I said, I've kind of maneuvered this around until I know that I've got it seated. Let's seat that again in just a minute. Put our oil on the rocker ball. The slides on, make sure that make sure everything is set correctly. Where's that hole? It is. Okay, I know I'm centered right now. Capture that, pull that in. And I'll grab our nut here, just run it in. This is where we got to be a little creative, especially when you're doing it this way. If I was doing this on the side, this push rod would stay in position, would not be a problem. So we take this down to what's called the zero lash point. So at this point, the rocker is sitting completely against the valve at what's called no lash. In other words, it's not moving, but there is some play in it. And when I say play, I mean just the slightest amount of play. Like that's a little too much. Take it to where just a slight bit of pressure can move it around, but not too much. Then according to William Wynn, you go 90 degrees, turn it 3/4 of a turn, and that should set the preload on the lifter. Then we got our jam nuts. So the jam nuts are actually machined by William Wynn, so that when we put these on here, a 9/16 box center wrench can slide it around it onto the nut, and we're able to then use this as a jam nut. We are all set. Last thing we do, so you pull this around here, is we're going to give this a turn, see all the valves move. And then double check that everything feels consistent, side to side. All right. All right, so for me, there's something intensely satisfying about putting the valve covers on any engine. It's kind of like it signifies the end of the process. And that's really where we're at. This is the end of the actual engine build process. Then we get on to finishing up the firewall forward wiring and the new carburetor. So I'm going to drop these on and I'll tell you what, it's going to be like YouTube magic, and it'll be 3, 2, 1. Hey, like when it works like that. So as you can see, I've got the valve covers on, they've got RTV setting up. So it'll be about 24 hours. I still need to put the carburetor on, but I am completely soaked, dripping in sweat. So I'm going to come back out here tonight and see how much more work we can get done. Well, everyone, you can see it is another late night in the hangar, and we're actually going to be cowling this thing up, ready for an engine run. So with everything else, I've already finished up looking at everything in here, double checking all the connections. It appears that everything is perfect. Got the cowling down here. So let's get it up here on the plane, one step closer. All right, so I've got a little bit of clearance issue here that I've got to deal with now that I've put on the front alternator. Just a little bit of clearance there. We'll get it back together and should be good to go. So let's do a little bit of trimming. All right, so I had to do a little bit of fitting. After I got the fitting done, I did have to pull the cowling off so I get the prop torqued in. That's what we're working on now, so is the prop torqued in. I think I'm gonna call it a night. All right, everybody, so I am back at the hangar, and it has been a couple of weeks since I've been out here working on this plane, mainly because, as you guys saw in my short, I am now an instrument-rated pilot. Couldn't be happier. I've been excited. It's been something that I've been working for quite a long time, as you guys have seen, those who are longtime viewers of the channel. So with that, I also had to go out of town for work. It's been a couple of weeks, but I'm out here, and I am ready for the test run of 8 Lima November. But I have made the executive decision that we're not going to do that on this video, but that will be on the next video. And I'm going to say this, there may be a little surprise for you guys in that next video. So please stay tuned, check it out. I think you guys are going to enjoy it because there may be more than one engine starting that video. Now, as we all know, we are always trying to grow our channels, and I've been looking at my analytics, and I've noticed that about 30% of you guys are subscribed. The rest of you guys watching these videos are not subscribed. So really consider subscribing to the channel. It really helps out. But this is me, Larry Nelson, telling you guys, for projects in the garage, planes in the hangar, get building, get flying, and I'll see you guys in the air next time.